What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 8. And we are 30 minutes away from a great basketball game, which I don't think we've seen since Washington.
We're actually working on being an hour away from it now, but it feels like 30 minutes because it's been an adrenaline high. So,
Dude. And if you watch the game, you'll know that Alan Flanigan had himself a game, something we've not seen since his sophomore year at Auburn.
he had one Alan Flanigan game last year, but this is sophomore Al stuff.
Yes, Alan Flanigan had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals, all off the bench.
Impressive. I think that maybe Bruce Pearl and company, maybe the guys listen to the College Loop. Because right after we sat down and talked about until we were blue in the face about how bad the guard play was at Georgia, all this team did was come back and say, Wendell Green Jr., hello. Zep Jasper mid-range, I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. Like verbal meme, you know what I mean? And Alan Flanigan, right after 2 episodes back to back, I sit here and go, Dylan, Alan Flanigan's a forward. Alan Flanigan's a forward. He looked at me, gave me the middle finger, and said, watch this.
And speaking of the great guards, Wendell Green, 19 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals. A defensive performance from Wendell Green that where'd that come from, for one thing. And
I think tonight was an element of revenge for him as well.
Yes, after the Arkansas game last year, where people kind of gave him some flack for some late game decisions he made. Today, he owned Arkansas on the court,
and it was a different Wendell. This is gonna sound like so reading too much into everything. Even kind of like the look on his expression. This was a level of focus, and I'm not saying Wendell's not focused usually, but this is a level of like, we're not losing this damn ball game that I've not seen out of him in a while, and that's encouraging. And then Zep Jasper decided today, you know what, I'm going to get involved on the offensive end. The worst guard play was from KD Johnson, which is kind of becoming a routine issue. But that's, if that's your downside, I thought Trey came in and provided valuable minutes. Didn't put up flashy numbers, but I thought he did well facilitating and moving the ball. This was a good, an exceptional game from Auburn on all aspects. And dude, Janai Broome is just awesome.
Janai Broome, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocks, 2 assists, and a steal that I had to add. But 4 blocks away from getting a triple-double with blocks, he's special. I love Janai Broome.
And I don't think he's a one and done at Auburn. I think he'll have one more year after this year. Not speculation. We'll talk, once the end of the season and we get to the off season, we're trying to find things to talk about. We'll definitely be speculating about who's staying, who's leaving. I think Janai the sky's the limit for that guy. And he's super talented. Sometimes he doesn't even realize how talented he is. Like tonight, he didn't realize how open he was and just decided to just end 5 men's life on the court. It feels like sometimes he surprises himself. I didn't love the technical call, not on his fault. I thought that was a little bit of a soft tee when he got teed up for yelling in someone's face that they suck. What do you want to say? Good job, man. I just absolutely put you on a poster.
Nice try. You almost. But yeah, so looking at Flanigan and Wendell, they shot between themselves. They shot 50% from the 3. Flanigan shot 3 of 6. Wendell shot 2 of 14. The team shot 7 of 21 from the 3. But that you also got to put in the perspective that KD Johnson and Zep Jasper combined 0 for 6 from on the 3-point line. So really, Auburn shot 7 for 15? If you take out KD Johnson.
Yeah, if you take out KD.
Yeah, and on the other side of the court, Arkansas shot 2 of 16 from the 3-point line.
Yeah, let me talk about Arkansas for just a second here, if that's okay, Dill.
Yeah.
This was a fantastic win for Auburn. It was an abysmal loss for Arkansas. Not that it's that bad on the record sheet, because I think this win probably saves Auburn from dropping out of the top 25. I think they probably wind up parked 23, 22, 24, somewhere in that ballpark. But we said kind of going into this game, you and I had talked a little bit, off the air and on the air. For Auburn to win this game, they were going to have to play essentially perfect, and no such thing as being perfect, but you know what I mean? It's close to perfect as you can. And they're going to need help from Arkansas. Arkansas left a boatload of points to the free throw line, first off.
Yes.
They shot fewer. You got the numbers in front of you. I'm clicked away from the box, so you can tell me. I know they shot lower than 50% from the free throw line tonight.
I believe it was in the 40s. I have it closed off right now. I know Auburn shot 77% from the free throw line.
All I know is, well, I can tell you right now. Arkansas actually was above 50%. They're at 59.4%, but they were 19 of 32 from the charity stripe, just leaving points everywhere. I mean, that's the point. That's the difference maker, right? And there was a lid on the basket for Arky for sure. The guys that they were really looking for, Walsh did not contribute in a fashion that they thought so. I mean, if you take away Anthony Black, Arkansas gets the doors blown off them in this game. And I think that obviously we know they're battling injuries. A lot of things went well for Auburn tonight. Arkansas playing poorly and being in the jungle probably had a lot to do with it, but don't take anything away from the fact that even down to the coaching tonight was a significant improvement for Auburn.
And also Arkansas had 14 turnovers. Auburn, for the first time in a while, didn't get over double digits. They only had 8 turnovers tonight. And this is a different Auburn team that I've been used to watching as of late. Like, this team did not turn over the ball often.
I was floored to see that stat. I watched the same game you did. And then when I looked back and saw that there's single digit turnovers, I was like, oh my gosh, this team can do that? That's legal? And just like, and that goes back to what we said, right, about the positive guard play and the true improvement this game, where it looked like there was some chemistry. Also, every single player, I think, except for KD, has a different haircut now. That's a storyline. I'm putting that out there. I don't know what Wendell did to like change his hair, but I like it. It's cool. Flan had like the further back pigtails going on. I'm about it.
I think Dylan Cardwell still has the same hair.
Well, Dylan hasn't changed barbers since he was like 7. So
Dylan Cardwell also put up 2 points tonight on a dunk that in the jungle.
a
2-point dunk is worth 100 to that.
a million.
Yeah. Another fun stat about this game: Auburn got out rebounded 45-32.
Primarily on the offensive glass.
Yeah, from Arkansas missing shots and trying to throw it back up, missing the throw up, and then missing the tertiary shot, because Auburn got out rebounded offensively 17-7. Defensively, it's a little closer with 20-25, but Arkansas had 10 more offensive rebounds than Auburn did, and it's mostly because they kept missing the shots, getting the ball, and then missing the putback.
All I'm saying is Arkansas on a handful of occasions when they were doing that little put back up and miss under the rim reminded me a lot of me and you playing pickup when we were in undergrad.
Yeah. It looks like me in middle school trying to play gotcha. Trying to
right.
get the guy who's the basketball player behind me, trying to get him out. So I'm just
right.
Please don't. But yeah, just a great game all around from Auburn. Something you really hope to see more often from this team. Because how many 3-point shots did they shoot last game? Was it
way too many? I don't have the number in front of me. I don't have the box in front of me. 25 plus. And they shot piss poor, for lack of a better term. I know they shot 25. I think 26.
Yeah, they shot 28 and only made
28. That makes me feel even worse.
And this team shot 21. That's it, right? 21 and made 7 of them, so a third of their shots, which is what you kind of want to strive for when shooting threes. But yeah, just all around. I think BP kind of put it back into their heads, like, hey, slow it down offensively, in the sense of don't shoot the 3 right off the bat. Katie didn't listen, but luckily Wendell did.
Right.
Because Wendell's ability to drive in and get buckets while being contested is awesome.
And the broadcast mentioned it tonight. The Wendell Green film scout. I can tell anyone, if you are an opposing team that's going to play Auburn, Just watch the college loop. This is the only sentence you need to know about your scouting report about Wendell Green. He's either going to shoot the three, facilitate, or he's going to drive to the rim. There is no mid-range game for Wendell Green. There's no point in having a mid-range game. There's no. It makes no sense.
You're right.
And but some of his circus shots are just remarkable.
The things he can do at his stature is just outstanding, and I'm so glad that he's our point guard, because I don't know what we would do without Mr. Wendell Green leading our team.
He's my way too early MVP, and we'll get to talk more about his success and his importance, and what I think is still an extremely important game on Tuesday at Ole Miss. And I'm looking forward to previewing that one later in the week with you, Dylan, because people don't understand how bad this team needs to get on a roll.
Yeah.
This is a great starting point. Great starting point.
Momentum is going to be this team's best friend throughout the rest of the season. And the only bad stat line from this game is the fact that Lior Berman did not get to attempt a three-pointer.
Jesus Lord.
He is 100% in the last two games from the three.
Right.
We got to get him in more to shoot half-court shots. He's our Steph Curry. But you brought up another game we need to talk about, the women's basketball game from, I believe, 2 days ago now, where they lost 94-42 to number one South Carolina. To Daniel's point, Aaliyah Boston only scored 2 more points than her season average.
All right, hold on. Aaliyah Boston, put some respect on the best player in college
basketball. And Zaya Cook, sorry, I'm getting their names mixed up. Scored 10 points, which is, I believe, 3 or 4 points less than she usually scores.
Yeah, great. But also every single player that touched the floor for USC got a bucket.
Yeah, but Daniel was right.
Correct.
He wasn't wrong.
Well, they had 3 in triple and double digits, but still, I understood.
It also doesn't help the fact that Auburn only had 13 points off the bench, all coming from Sanaya Wells.
Well, this is short, sweet, and to the point. This is exactly what we thought was going to happen. We knew that Auburn's going to go get knocked around by USC. But here's the reality of things. Everybody in women's college basketball is getting knocked around by USC right now, with the exception of Stanford. And then they messed around and found out last year that they also can get knocked around by USC. So it really doesn't matter. And good opportunity for everyone to go get better. Holding, honestly, Scott Grayson out, whether it was because she couldn't play. I know she shot around. She was in warm-up clothes the entirety time. Whether it was because she couldn't play or you just didn't want to run the risk of her going against the stature that is South Carolina women's basketball. It was the right call. Get back, get right, try to beat Alabama. I guess when this comes out on Sunday morning, this afternoon. So which that should be a close game just because it's Auburn, Alabama. And I do think that if you get honesty back, that this team can be where they need to be, but there's really no point spending too much time on the USC game because there wasn't a whole lot of bright spots. Sanaya Wells is her. Sydney Shaw is so her. A lot of positive futures, right, for the Tigers.
Yep, and you said it. They play Bama today at 4 p.m. Central, and like you said, hopefully, honestly, Scott Grayson is back. We've said it multiple times. Auburn would be 2-1 right now in SEC play if Honesty was playing.
Yeah, something to the tune of 2-1. Yeah.
And Auburn men's basketball plays on the 10th against Ole Miss in the Pavilion, and I guess we'll have an episode before that previewing it. So
we'll talk about that on Tuesday's episode that'll come out. You can, for those of you who like listening to our show and then going and watching the game, you can do that back to back, bang bang. You can get your preview in the morning, watch the game in the afternoon, be depressed by dinner. You never know. So,
and it's also worth mentioning in other Auburn sports, I do believe, just to go 1-1, Auburn swimming and diving murdered Georgia Tech today.
I saw that. I don't know how swim and dive works, but I think if you triple your opponent's points, that's probably good.
Yeah, I believe it was like 270 something to 71. I know you as a Tech nerd weren't really too thrilled to see Georgia Tech lost their swimming and diving, but I got you.
Don't care.
Outside of Georgia Tech basketball and football, you don't really, or baseball.
Yeah, baseball sometimes.
But then on the other side of that, gymnastics has started up. Auburn came in third in their quad meet today against, and in order, Oklahoma came in first with Michigan, then Auburn, then UCLA came in fourth, which didn't they win the national championship?
Yes, they did. But they also lost talent. And honestly, if you look at this field, like there's your top 4.
I believe, yeah, but I say I think all these teams are top 5, top 10.
Top 10 teams. They're not actually your top 4, but those are your top 10 teams. Like, I mean, this is a great result, and Auburn tied its program high on beam. Correct? Is that what we said?
Yes, I believe
Yeah,
so.
beam or bars.
And I
It's
do
beam.
believe that this is going to be the actual standings come next. I don't know, AP voting. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, it actually probably will be. Yeah,
It'll be Oklahoma
Florida's got to
1,
be in there
Michigan
somewhere.
2, Auburn 3. But yeah, it's going to be a good season for gymnastics. Me and you were going to the one on the 20th
Yep,
against Arkansas.
we'll be there. Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground to watch the SUNY Lee goodbye tour.
City
Farewell
the
tour.
Goodbye Tour, Sophia Groth Superiority Tour, and the Farewell to the Queen with Darion Grosborn.
I really want to get a picture of her doing the
Oh
thing.
my gosh. I just want to get a picture with her. Like us, like the college, like that could be the best hander for the college loop ever. All of us with like the crown, like doing the crown. That'd be sick.
We need to make shirts.
Yes, facts. Facts.
That'd be very beneficial to our brand if we were to get that out there.
I'm gonna watch film. Like I know it's weird to say, but I'm gonna go back and rewatch Jim, and we'll recap that going into the Tuesday episode. This is just so jam packed. We got so much going on with basketball and football this weekend. And I'm not saying it takes a back burner, but there's a lot bigger gap between gymnastics meets.
Yeah. So my first page of notes is just men's and women's basketball. My back page of notes is just a full page of football notes.
That's short.
Yes, shorter than usual, actually.
Yeah, right.
But today Auburn picked up 2 recruits. We picked up one, I believe. Yes, was Gunnar Britton yesterday.
Gunnar Britton was yesterday. Yes.
Let's start with him. 4-star from the transfer portal, Western Kentucky guy, 6'6", 305 pounds. He is a biggin. He's a big
That makes seven big guys that are newcomers to the program.
with, I believe, 3+ on the way. But yeah, Gunnar
Yes.
Britton's a big body guy. This dude can pass block like nobody's business. And he was on Auburn's team. Or he played against Auburn this season. That game did not go as probably he wanted it to go.
There's
But-
some good film from him. There's just like one random clip mixed in that highlight that doesn't fit. Like,
Show me that, and it looks like he's just walking, and I'm like,
but then the rest is good. The rest of that film is good.
the rest of it is great because he's like stopping Derek Hall.
Yeah.
But then the first play of it is like, what is he doing?
Yeah, just standing around, hanging out.
But-
Gunnar Britton, huge pickup. Don't think he's the last for that offensive line. You and I keep talking about it. I don't think there's such thing as too many bodies right now because at some point it's like throwing, a bunch of things at the wall and hoping you hit something, right?
I think there's a Trevon Reed quote that should be fitting in here somewhere. Something along the lines of "We're not finished yet."
Oh yeah, we're not finished yet. They're not. Like we talked about it last episode. There's a long list of 20 plus names. Short list of probably about 5 or 10 guys that they really think they're going to get, and that's just in the offensive line room. Skill positions wise, quarterback, wide receiver, linebacker. I think we both think is on the way. That's a whole different list, which is exciting.
Something funny about the Gunnar Britton pickup is the fact that Xavier
Capers.
Capers. I don't know why I can't say his name. We basically traded him for Gunnar Britton because he just committed to West Kentucky today,
Right.
which is funny.
Yeah, no, it's like last year when you send Bo Nix to Oregon in return for Robbie Ashford and cash considerations. Yeah, dude.
And DJ James, don't forget DJ James.
DJ James, I know.
So hopefully we win this trade as well. It's compatible. Both teams win.
Great pickup for Auburn and Freeze and company. I think we from the time that this name got thrown out there, you and I kind of were saying Gunnar Britton feels like the right fit for Auburn if he's interested. And then quickly, it was like it all happened in a matter of like 48 hours. It was like, oh, he's interested.
I was
he's
going
coming.
through offensive line transfers and I saw his name. I was like, I want this guy.
Yeah, and then when we mentioned it, we were like, yeah, that could be a good fit. And then as soon as you hear the first connection, it was like 48 hours later, he's like committed. We're like, oh, okay, you are welcome to Auburn.
Let's see, other guys we picked up. We picked up another transfer from Maryland, not the guy that we thought we were going to get.
I like this kid though. I really do.
Like
I guess I shouldn't say kid. This man.
6'2", 298 pounds, another big boy, but on the front 7, defensive lineman. Mosiah Nasili Kite.
Yes, and I've actually got some updated measurements for you if you want, based on UMD's website. They list him at 310 at 6'2", 310.
Oh, he's a nose tackle.
That's exactly what he is. There, you are so intuitive. He's played in 23 games over the past 2 years, recorded 43 tackles, solo tackles, 63 total. Obviously, that differential means 20 assists. 9.5 tackles for losses, and 5 sacks over the past 2 years. He's an instant impact guy, not one we had on our radar. Definitely one that can bolster immediately, can make that defensive line better. And Auburn got better in the trenches. And we say it every episode, Dylan. They got better in the trenches.
It's shocking that he's as big as he is because he completely blindsided me and you today. Because I just get it. I'm on the way home with my girlfriend, and all of a sudden I get a text message. Hey, Dylan. You sent me his name, Mosiah Nasili Kite. Yeah, we just got him. And I was like,
okay,
great.
Listen, not everyone I send you do we land, but everyone we land, I have sent you. Up until this guy right here.
You're right. I've had a graphic made for a lot of guys. This guy had to be made one on the spot.
I would like to think that we've been able to use 70% of your graphics.
Yes, we could not. There's a jersey swap out there somewhere. Grayson McCullough in an Auburn jersey that was requested by Harrison.
There was traction, all right. There was traction.
There's a Ahmed McCullough thing in our text messages.
I actually had that real quick. If we're going to talk about Ahmed McCullough, he committed to Washington State today, which was ultra weird. I don't disrespect. Excuse me. I don't disrespect his decision. It was just weird for me. I was like, that was not a school I thought was even on the radar. But I guess that's the best fit for him. And Auburn is looking elsewhere for a guy I think we may have by the time that this show comes out, maybe.
Possibly. His graphic is ready. But we have one more guy to pick that we picked up today. During the All-American game, which was an absolute blowout. 3-star corner Tyler Scott. 6'1", 195 pounds. He's not a big boy, but I do like my corners tall.
He's a super high 3-star. I was talking to Clemente earlier today a little bit about this, and it sounds like per Christian, and don't quote this one, Dylan, but loosely, he thinks that he's one of the more underrated guys. And I watch his film. I tend to agree. I've not watched enough, so I need to kind of get in the lab and do that. Really underrated 3-star, super high 3-star. I think that a lot of people, Christian hinted on Twitter earlier today that he could probably be a 4-star by the time he graduates. That makes more sense to me. Not that stars really ultimately matter, except for we infatuate over them, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, if I read this correctly, this was just on Twitter. Apparently, Christian said the Tyler Scott signed on December 21st, and then mailed in his LOI.
I mean, I guess the exposure.
No, I get it. No, I respect it, and this is a great land for Auburn. It wasn't super surprising. A lot of people kind of picked up on the fact that, hold on, wait a minute, something's not adding up here.
Man, the great thing about the All-American game is me and you both had moments where we got to really enjoy our favorite prospects from this class.
Got to enjoy all 5 prospects from this class.
Well, yes, but me and you definitely have favorites. Mine is
I mean that's normal. Yeah. Connor Lew made people look stupid today, trying to get to his quarterback, because he's ready. He's ready.
Yeah. But everyone on the East team kind of made everyone on the West team look kind of stupid. I mean, it helps when the East team has the best quarterback in the class with Dante Moore.
It also helps that the East has the Southeastern talent. So,
did they cut Texas in half?
I don't even know how that works.
Because I mean, you're giving this East team has Georgia, Tennessee, Florida,
right,
Bama, Mississippi, half of Texas. I mean, the good half of Texas, I guess. All the SEC, basically.
Detroit, New York,
Detroit, New York, everywhere that you get the high talent, and then the West team has California.
Yeah, California. That's about it. But can we talk real quick about the All-America game today? I mean, there was a couple things to talk about. First off, I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Kyan Lee allowed a completion. If he did, it was one. That
The
The
touchdown.
touchdown was split coverage.
I mean,
Um,
it was a Darren Reed, Kyan Lee blunder play that happened.
they stumbled over each other, so we're gonna choose to pretend like it didn't happen. Darren Reed played out of his mind. Keldrick Falk. Oh my God! I mean, what a beast of a human being that guy is. I mean, within the first 3 plays, he put his hand up and pawed down football like it was nothing, like he was swatting a fly from the line.
My fault. It was Reed that forced the fourth down with a deflection from the line.
Was that Reed?
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies. Maybe I just wait. Keldrick Falk had a TFL later in the game. No.
It's okay. You're only confusing like future superstar defensive line talent right there. I mean,
Yeah. I'm sorry. I apologize.
they're going to look the same to quarterbacks because I mean, you're going to get hit enough. You're going to see an Auburn helmet coming at you.
Right. That's really all I had to say. But all 5 really guys had great showings at the All American game, and it wasn't entertaining score wise. But if you were watching from prospect point, Auburn fans probably had a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, especially when Tyler Scott committed during the fourth quarter.
Yes.
At one point, you're watching the game just to get the Tyler Scott thing.
Oh no! By the third quarter, by halftime, you were like, "I just."
By halftime, I was like, I really wish they would just like hurry it up because
Yeah.
I can't wait any longer.
Right. But then you got to see some really good, like the above aerial camera, some good film of Connor Liu just being Connor Liu.
I do love. I was on the phone, and all of a sudden, I peek my head out of the different room, and I just see Tyler Scott's name come across the screen. I was like, I gotta go by, and just hung up.
Just hung up. Yep.
It's like I need to make sure that this man does not break my heart like McCullough did, and maybe Grayson McCall also did. Now to move on from guys that we have gotten to guys that we are hoping to get. Auburn had a lot of guys visiting this weekend and are visiting this weekend. Starting off with LSU linebacker Demario Tolan, who was a true freshman last year, but he still recorded 9 tackles last year. But he's still a highly touted recruit. I think he was like a four star along those
4-star.
lines, which still
4-star.
pick up.
So from what I've understood, now there's a laundry list and there's some guys we don't really need to break down name by name, Dill. What we're going to go through, what we can drop the names that we know have visited this week. There's a bigger conversation coming after we talk about Demario. But to my understanding, it sounds like Auburn is a front runner, if not a very soon pledge for Demario Tolman and Tolan. Now I keep trying to say Tolman. It's Tolan. I'm sorry. I'll grow with this group as they grow. That's how we work, right? I'm very, very big position in group of need now. Right. We've talked about the quarterback situation. We know the necessary depth in the trenches that I think Freeze and company have addressed. So now maybe you slide that offensive line priority down. Not that they're not relentlessly recruiting, because they are. That linebacker room, there's a gaping hole. And this is a guy that can come in, start day one, and be an instant impact, and has SEC experience. It makes sense. We wanted Ahmad McCullough. That didn't happen. That's water under the bridge. I think that longevity-wise, this might be better for Auburn. And from what I've heard, it sounds like he should be an Auburn pledge within the next couple days. It could be as soon as tomorrow. I guess Sunday being today. So I think that's something to keep a watch on, Dill, and I'm sure you're excited about him.
Oh yeah, and you talk about getting a guy with SEC experience. I think the linebacker position is probably the best, or at least one of the best positions to acquire a player with SEC experience, because in the SEC, I mean, defense reigns supreme, and especially name a better place to recruit from high school wise than LSU.
Yeah, right.
This guy is, like you said, instant impact. I think he fills in that role left by Owen Papo clearly. And like you said, he'd be an instant starter right then and there. Like I don't think
if not, he's not LB1, but he's instant lots of snaps.
yes.
Be playing a large percentile of the snaps. And I think that's important right now for Auburn. I mean, not I think, I mean, hell, we know it's important, because this team is building from nothing.
And another key thing, well, I don't know if you would, I don't know how much more I can talk about how great DeMario is and how much of a help he'd be to this defense. But speaking from another defensive player that we have visiting in this class or in this case is Wake Forest defensive end, I believe, Rondell Bothroyd.
Yep, but I said Bothroyd. I don't think it matters. That's one. I think these are the kind of some names we can skim through. The only really important one that I want to talk about is Jamari Thrash. I think that it's possible that you grab any of these names that Dylan's going to mention. It's just a couple more that we know for sure have been on campus because they've communicated they've been on campus. But it's not to say that Auburn's seriously going to land them either. You got to remember, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? You just reach down, you grab one at some point.
I think it's important to mention with Rondell, he was a starter for Wake Forest.
Right.
30 tackles, 6 sacks, which was second on his team, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 pass deflections. I think if you can get him, I don't know. He's not I don't think we're as close to saying when he'll commit or if he'll commit to Auburn as we are.
Also, haven't heard a ton of reason to believe that it's going to be Auburn.
Yeah. But it'd be a huge pickup as well because I mean he's not SEC experience, but starting ACC experience.
Power 5.
Power 5, yeah. And then, like you mentioned, with Jamari Thrash, was the best wide receiver on Georgia State last season, with 1,122 yards that led the team and 7 touchdowns. Which the wide receiver room for Auburn is wide open.
So let's talk for a second about Jamari Thrash, and I'm not even talking specifically about his frame, which is beautiful, or about his skill set, which is incredible. Let's talk about a guy who's leaving his school as the best receiver, WR1 at his respective school in the Sun Belt. Really turned heads. I've heard whisperings about his interest at Auburn, and it sounds like there is serious traction. However, and you're going to run into this with some folks, and this is going to ruffle some feathers, but you're going to run into this with some wide receivers. Not every wide receiver in the country sold on Robbie Ashford. And that's going to kind of segue our way into the Spencer Sanders conversation that's imminent. That's no spoiler. Everyone knows this is coming. It's an episode routine thing at this point. But this is our first case of hearing about guys that are like, I don't think that I want to play with Robbie Ashford. And it's nothing personal against Ashford's skill set as much as it may just not mesh with them as a receiver, which is fine. But this is the first case we've really heard about. If Sanders comes, I'm in. I don't think it's the last case we'll hear about. If Spencer Sanders comes to Auburn, I'm in.
And we'll kind of try to rush towards the Spencer Sanders conversation. Just list 3 more guys who are visiting or are planning on visiting, with Eastern Michigan offensive tackle Marcellus Johnson, who I believe has visited.
Right.
Baylor OT Micah.
Yep, Micah Mazkua. I don't know. Well, I've tried. Nobody knows.
If it commits, we'll ask him.
Right. I think Auburn's in the serious running for Micah, though.
And finally, a Alabama offensive tackle, Damian George.
That one's going to take some warming up to for Auburn fans, huh?
I mean, if he didn't work out for Alabama and he's great for us, I mean, that's just a big loss for Alabama.
Was Damian George not the Crimson Crane?
Was he?
I think he was the Crimson Crane at the don't quote me. I think he was the Crimson Crane at the Birmingham Bowl practice.
Oh, that's an oof. If that is factual, then
I'll have to fact check myself on that one, and if not, we'll cut it out. No, we won't. It'll be okay. I'm not entirely sure about Damian George. I am pretty confident that Auburn's in the running for Micah Mazkua.
Micah M.
Yes. Marcellus Johnson. I don't really know how serious they are. He is rather. But I think that, like I said a minute ago, fish in the barrel, right? We do know one guy Auburn's serious about.
And his name is Spencer Sanders, a quarterback that I believe we have reached a bingo on because I think we have talked about him 5 consecutive episodes.
And I think that's a fun little joke I'm about to make. I'm going to make a little pun. You said bingo. I'm going to say I think we're close to a Yahtzee. I think that within 24 hours of this podcast coming out, Spencer Sanders will be at Auburn. And I think it's all but a done deal. And I could be wrong, and I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I mean, hell, that's what I do. But it sounds like Sanders is very much. Well, it's between Auburn and Ole Miss. That's not a secret. That's pretty public. But I think Sanders makes sense with Freeze. We've talked about this a million times over. If you want to hear our breakdown, feel free to go back and listen to any of the last 4 episodes. I think it's imminent now, and I think that's the guy that Auburn wants to go forward with. If nothing else, then for depth for the quarterback room. But I will tell you this: if Spencer Sanders comes to Auburn, I would go ahead and chalk it as Robbie Ashford will not be QB1 in 2023, barring an injury. Because I don't think he will come to Auburn if it's not a guaranteed start.
I think that was the key to a lot of these guys in the portal. I mean, I don't think Jackson Dart's that much better of a quarterback than Robbie Ashford, if he is at all. I've not been impressed with Jackson Dart. All Miss fans are going to hate me. They already do. But I think that with like the Grayson McCall, we were all on board with Grayson McCall because we knew he was going to be the starter. I think it was when Michael Pratt came and gone. I pretty much figured that it was going to be a battle, but I think Spencer
That
Sanders
just died off, by the way. That just disappeared and evaporated.
Well, the key factor to that, the rumors about him was he never entered the portal.
He never went into the porthole.
He's not leaving Tulane especially after what they just did to the Pac-12 runner-up. Bring Tulane back to the SEC. They already have more SEC championships than Ole Miss does, so just go ahead and bring them back.
How many times are you going to burn Ole Miss on this podcast?
Dude, they're all in my mentions. I'm gonna
carry on though.
But I think Spencer Sanders does offer. I know I've said a couple of times I think Robbie Ashford could beat him for the role, but I know you said with Bo Nixisms. I think it's going to be a very entertaining QB battle, especially come A-Day. And
I also want to throw another name in, and this is not a transfer name, so don't get a migraine. Don't get a migraine. Holden Jariner. I have heard time and time again that everybody that's ever coached him is in love with his passing abilities. And even if you add Spencer Sanders, he's still probably far and away the best passer on the team. It could be, things could get weird. I mean, like, they're already weird, but like we might get weird.
Dear Lord, it can always get worse for not Auburn, but for us.
Your mental.
I can't wait to hear another quarterback come up if Spencer Sanders doesn't commit in the next 8 hours. Tarr's gonna send me another quarterback.
Next 8 hours.
You're gonna text me at 3 a.m. and be like, "Yo, Caleb Williams."
So Tom Brady has an extra year of eligibility. He's been granted by the NCAA. This is why he's coming to Auburn.
Cam Newton still has that 1 year of eligibility left.
And this is why he's returning.
I believe another wide receiver we can talk about a little bit is Bryson Green. I think if Spencer Sanders does come here, I feel like Bryson Green to Auburn is going to be a huge.
I think it's going to be all but a lock.
Yeah. So you're looking at a wide receiver room that's going to have a Camden Brown, and Amara Kelly, a Landon King, a Rivaldo Fairweather, a Jamari Thrash, and a Bryson Green. And we don't know who's going to be throwing to him. And honestly, we're okay with literally any of the choices.
I would like to submit my name for consideration. I still have eligibility with you. Give me a call.
I have a COVID year.
I have a COVID year.
And nothing would give me more happiness in life than to be able to throw to either Landon King or Rivaldo Fairweather on a goal line fade.
Yeah, that would be.
Actually, no, not a fade route. I have PTSD from fade routes.
I'm about to say I knew you were about to go. You were about to say PTSD from the Penn State game in 2021.
Yeah, the potato man does not know how to write up plays. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Spencer Sanders can easily bring in like 2 big time wide receivers for Auburn.
There's a third. We just can't talk about him yet. We'll talk about him when we go off the air.
Yeah. Spencer Sanders opens us up for more wide receivers down the line, which is a position that Auburn does need help in.
I also think Spencer Sanders wins you another 1 to 2 games.
I won't say that's wrong. I am a Robbie Ashford truther. I know you are too.
I mean, why go to the Birmingham Bowl when you go to the Music City Bowl?
A big difference between Birmingham and Nashville. Yeah. Just
Yeah, you're right. Birmingham's a better city. What are you talking about?
don't want to go to the Liberty Bowl.
Birmingham's lit. What are you talking about? We had a great time.
Liberty Bowl is actually because you can stay the night in the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid. So
We've found positives about all of this.
every
It,
bowl has its positive.
$5 mimosas, bottomless before in Birmingham. Like that was hard to beat.
Irish pub right down the road.
Yeah, right.
I don't know the bar scene. The bar scene in Nashville is nice.
Yeah, exactly. This podcast has gotten so unhinged, off the rails.
It always does, but that's
Could
what
not be as bad as last week, though.
it can't.
Can't be.
But that's what happens whenever you record at midnight.
Fine. It's
I'm up
fine.
at 8 a.m. and I'm gonna be up tomorrow at 6.
Lovely. Love
So
that for you.
yeah, that's gonna be a fun day.
Well, Dill, I appreciate you chatting it up with me tonight. And in conclusion, men's basketball got a big opportunity on Tuesday. Had a great win today, and women's basketball really wants to get back at it tomorrow. Gymnastics is going to be just fine. Swim and dive. We don't know what numbers mean, but at least it seemed good. And football is kind of an ongoing thing. We've got a couple more weeks until things really die down, and then we'll be able to actually start putting together draft concepts and draft profiles and know who's going to be on the roster for the most part.
We'll know the exact roster by at least
September
3rd, a minute before we play UMass.
Theoretically,
we should know almost everything about the team
by then.
Would this be a year that the starting quarterback isn't named until the day before?
No, I don't think so.
Are you sure?
No.
Because I mean, I could see Robbie Asher and Spencer Sanders just going back to back, like a day, just having great games. Holden Jarner sneaks in a 100-yard game as well, playing against the threes. I mean,
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
Baseball game to help us get over the stress of this.
Yeah.
Last year.
And then next week, we're probably going to start sprinkling in a little bit of diamond sports, softball and baseball right around the corner. So a lot of exciting stuff here on the College Loop.
And if you think we love Kai and Lee and Connor Liu, wait till we can talk about Bree Ellis.
And wait till you talk about Joseph Gonzalez and Kaysen Howell. Kaysen Howell's nickname, I don't think we're going to say on the College Loop. We'll determine when we get
and before you can even think about it. This has been the College Loop. I'm Dylan Larck at you boy the tank on Twitter. That's Harrison Tarr at by Harrison Tarr on Twitter.
#1 horse Kaysen fan.
This has been the College Loop podcast.